Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Feng vs Guedin. In this video we are going to take a closer look at the two different Attack on Titan fan games, and I'm going to compare them to the best of my ability. So let's get right to it. First off, graphics. Feng's Potatoes vs Guedin's Unreal Engine 4. Obvious who wins. Okay, at this point I think everyone should have noticed that it's completely idiotic to compare all aspects of these games, since they're completely different and Guedin's AOT isn't even finished. But there is one thing we can compare so far, and that is the gameplay maneuvering aspect. Even though both the games have differences on how to maneuver with the 3DMG, they both have the same concept, which is to control each hook manually to swing through the environment up to the Titan's nape and kill it with your attack. However, even if the concept is the same, both Guedin and Feng have different approaches on how to implement them. So now we are going to take a closer look on what these differences are. First off, the hooks. In AOTTG, when you shoot out a hook and it connects, it will pull you forward, while in GAOT, the hook will not. You could say that in Feng's game they act more like bungees, while in Guedin's game they are like static metal cables. Following that analogy, one can see that if you swing around a tree in AOTTG, the length of the bungee will actually extend the faster you are. With GAOT, not so much. Now let's look at the maneuvering with gas. In Feng's game, what the gas actually does is give you speed if you're hooked or not, and will also strengthen your bungee so that if you swing around a tree, you will actually start to spiral. Your bungee, however, will still lengthen the faster you go. We call that auto reel out. With GAOT it's a little different, because the gas isn't actually what gives you speed. It is actually the reel in that comes with the combination of your hooks and gas. And with that, there comes a certain problem. Let's say you are going straight forward and you want to take a 90-degree turn. In AOTTG you would simply hook an object and swing around it, making a 90-degree turn while pressing gas without losing any speed. In Guedin's game, however, there's a problem with that, since you always reel in with your gas and hook combo. When you hook in front of you, your momentum will move you straight forward, but when you hook in a 90-degree angle to take a turn, your hook and reel will try to pull you in the opposite direction, hence taking away most of your current speed. The exact same effect will also take place in AOTTG when you maneuver without using your gas. And that is where the static cable will come in hand in GAOT. What you can do to counter the effect of your gas reeling is to hook without using your gas at all. That way, your momentum will be transitioned into the new direction you want to go in. Well, if you can control it at least. Okay, at this point I have something to rage about. And that is a certain thing that I really like to see removed in Guedin's game that will drastically improve the intuitional maneuverability of the players. As you can see in the current clip of gameplay, I hook an object, reel in via gas, wanting to go for the 90-degree turn there. My intuition tells me that I reel in with my gas to the length of my cable, where I'm able to turn and then let go of the gas to lock the cable at said length. But what happens, the cable will fucking extend to the same length I hooked it with. Please fix that, Guedin. Please. Moving on. One thing that makes a big difference in GAOT is that the two-hook maneuvering is really well implemented. Having the direct comparison to AOTTG, it does not stand a chance at this. But I don't want to praise the two-hook maneuvering in GAOT too much, since there is a main problem in all the glory, which is that you cannot shoot out both hooks at the same time in different directions. You have to shoot out each hook individually to be able to use the two-hook maneuvering to the best effect. At this point, I would really like to see Guedin look at AOTTG for a solution, since the option and implementation on shooting out two hooks is really good, even though the maneuvering sucks in AOTTG. It would be a really good addition to GAOT. Okay, no reeling. Let's look at Feng for a second. In the vanilla game, we have the reel-in option on our mouse wheel, which causes our character to reel in his cable at a fast pace, making us able to pull ourselves towards the object we are hooked on. Combining that with a Titan, we can reel in towards the nape and go for the kill without losing any speed if done correctly. This is called Hydra. In Guedin's game, a move like that is simply not possible. Well, you can kinda do it, but you will lose a lot of speed on the basis of the gas reel and problem I told you about earlier. But now something in favor of Guedin. The idea of being able to control your flight path more the faster you go is an outstandingly good idea, which is also implemented really well. In comparison, AODTG lacks the ability a little. You can correct your flight path a little bit with pressing A or D, as well as do a sudden gas burst to correct your flight path, but both of these options are not as good implemented as Guedin's solution. While we are at the maneuverability in mid-air, we should also talk about the dodge in both games. In AOTTG, the dodge is limited to the character standing on the ground, while Guedin introduces a completely new game element with the mid-air dodge, which you can use to stop your momentum and orientate yourself for future maneuvering. The dodge also introduces the new element of counterattack. While dodging the Titan's attack at the right moment, GAOT gives you the ability to counterattack, where you get an awesome animation and you get basically a free kill afterwards. In Feng's game, there's no such thing as counterattack. However, in AOTTG you can choose different characters which all have different special abilities. The Levi Copter in particular has a lot of new ways to kill Titans. Okay, now for my final verdict on the gameplay on both games. For me personally, the aspect of gameplay has to be something that comes to me naturally and with practice, but much more than that, it has to make sense and be consistent. I'm not saying it has to be easy. AOTTG in particular is really hard at first. But the main thing about it is that even though you might not be able to pull everything off right away, you certainly know how to do it in theory. GAOT at this point has many gameplay aspects that just do not make much sense to me. The best example is the fact that your hook will extend to the length it was originally hooked with after you reeled it in. GAOT, however, introduces interesting new game elements such as the counter-attack and two-hook maneuvering, which make it really enjoyable to play and experience. So considering every aspect I talked about in the last few minutes, I came to the conclusion that GAOT is inferior to AOTTG in terms of gameplay at this point in time, fully knowing that GAOT is still in development and the current version is by no means the final one. So don't get your 3DMG stuck in the Titan's butt.